Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk, bei mir Interview, Startinterview, und Sie kennen möglicherweise das Gesicht schon, das ist die Mia, und zwar sprechen wir diesmal über Red Pine Exploration. WKN sehen Sie eingeblendet, und ja, starten wir gleich einmal los. Mia, this is our second interview, and I have still the problems with the pronunciation of your last name. So, but the question is now coming from for sure from some subscriber of my database that you're working for more companies. So how this comes? So and why it makes sense to do this?
So our same management team, so Quentin Yari, our CEO, and the rest of the exploration team, and myself as the IR person, really lead 3 different exploration companies that have different focus and different assets. This choice was made that way, as opposed to having one company that has multiple projects. We decided to have separate companies that have different projects. Because we believe that that's a better way of ensuring that we have the best return on investment for the shareholder, and that we can really work on adding value on each and every different asset. So we are very much able to kind of devise our technical expertise and our needs amongst the needs of the different companies and reducing overheads. And it just makes sense that way for us.
And it makes it easier when somebody come and take over one project.
Exactly. Then they don't have to, you don't lose everything.
Yeah. We saw this in the presentation. I showed now the people. First, I must show the share price. Yes, yeah. You have also a pretty good run, or a good start in the year, or especially in December last year. You have a pretty good run, and then it's coming down in June. And since June, you have also it looks like a good run, so up 50% from the lows in June. What was the reason why the share price is coming up the last 6 months, especially when we look at the overall market? And my feeling is that the overall market is not really in good shape, especially for the resource sector. So what was the reason why the share prices have a pretty good run in the last 6 months?
I think everybody in the sector saw a little bit of a slump. We were hoping that things were going to pick up. Things did pick up for us a little bit, but again, similarly to the issues that we've had with McDonald Mines, we've been bogged down with issues with our labs. So initially, actually, we changed labs because we had issues with the way our labs were processing our samples, and we're pretty diligent, and everybody on the team is a geoscientist, so either a geophysicist or geochemist or a geologist. So we really look at what comes back from the labs, and we noticed some errors. So earlier this year we had a little bit of a lag because we had to change labs, and now the lab that we're dealing with, who is a lot more stringent in terms of their process, is just being overwhelmed by all the work that's happening in Canada right now, and there's just a lag in getting results for us.
Okay.
But for the most part, all the results, when we do have results and we do release them, they're good results. Part of also the reason, Joe, you're asking about a little bit of a lag, we acquired Augustine Ventures earlier this year. Mm-hmm. People had been involved with Augustine for a long time, and that was on the CSE. So we felt as well that maybe a lot of those investors that had been caught and stuck with that investment for many, many years, got rid of their share price. So there was a little bit of dumping that happened as well. But we think that that's all over with now, and that things are going to rise up.
Yeah, that's. I'm now on page 4 of your presentation, and this shows the share structure. And you write down that you acquired a company to deliver them over 100 million shares to get in the overall projects 60% of the whole project. So, and you closed this deal on the 3rd of February. So it's from this time you see some selling pressure, and now it's cleaned up and everything is now in the right direction. And also what I must say is you're in nearly the same area like McDonald's Mines.
Yes, we're not far. Again, it's an area that's seen a lot of activity. It's always been an area that's kind of gotten less attention, right? As opposed to Timmins, as opposed to all other areas in Canada. there's been gold exploration in Wawa since the late 1800s, early 1900s. But then, and this property had 8 past producing mines on it, but these operated in the 20s and 30s, relatively high grade, an average grade of almost 9 grams per ton, but they only produced about 120,000 ounces of gold. And they closed not because they ran out of gold, but because the focus then turned to iron, or it was, you know, the First World War, the Second World War, so the focus changed. So we went into this property thinking that, you know, new mines are found in shadows of old head frames. Often now exploration companies are finding new deposits where there were deposits before and operating mines. So we've gone back because there was already an inferred resource there, and we've made some new discoveries on this project. So there's lots of gold still there and lots of high grade stuff as well.
So you have a lot of past producing mines there. And 9 grams was the average. That looks really high grade. In the old days, it was more maybe a middle grade than that was the average what they find in the past. So, but when you work on this project, what do you find so far? What was the last results and so?
So there's been many different results, but I'll give you a little bit of an overview of the project. So we started working on the project because there was this inferred resource there already called the Soluga deposit, which, as you mentioned, is relatively low grade. It's 1 million ounces at 1.71 grams per ton, right? So nothing great, and seemed to have a high strip ratio at the time, 15:1. So we started drilling. We started looking at resampling old core because there's 42,000 meters of core, and we found that there was lots of gold there that wasn't accounted for, that wasn't included into this resource estimation. So that kind of helped us decide where we wanted to drill. And so that's what we've been doing over the past 30 months. And we've been drilling, and we found a lot more gold in that existing resource. We found that it extends to the north and to the south. And at the end of October, we issued a news release because we contracted Golder and Associates, which is an engineering firm, and they produced for us an exploration target report. And we've identified 3 exploration targets on the property. So what we call the Soluga deposit, which is the hanging wall and the footwall of it, so the new drilling that we've done there where we found new gold. And then there's a high grade zone to the south. And we just released a news release last week where we drilled 34.6 grams per ton over 1 meter in that zone. So again, the potential for high grade stuff is there as well. That area might be a resource as big as the Soluga deposit. So it might be 1 million ton. It might be 2 million tons. So we're really excited about this project because we know that it's not just a 1 million ton resource. It's something much bigger. How big? We're still kind of drilling, and we're going to firm that up. And the thought is going back to, as when we have enough data, doing another 43-101.
Okay. You say you have a lot of old drill core. What was the previous company? Was it a well-known company, and why they stopped the project?
So the last mine that operated on style was Citadel Mining, and they operated onto the Soluga deposit. They never produced. They drilled, but they never produced. They built the mine, they built the mill, they built everything, but they drilled, and they drilled quite a bit of it, but they never brought it into production. Well, they closed it. There wasn't much of a production out of it. And so that closed in the 1980s. So what's interesting about this area as well, and this project, is that there's a tailing pond there that's being monitored, and everything is up to snuff. So the permitting is all in place. So the turnover for this project as well is very quick. So, you know, we're an exploration company. We're going to bring this project where it needs to go, as we're going to develop it as much as possible. But I don't think we want to become producers. That may change, this idea, but I think for the time being, the model is develop it as much as possible, and then, similar to other exploration companies, have a major that come in and take over the project. But it'll be very easy for them because there's no issues with First Nations. So we have a signed MOU with some of the First Nations that are on site. There's established as well permitting there, and there's infrastructure already in place. It's close to the Trans-Canada Highway, and it's within the city limits of Wawa. So our crew, when they work on this project, sleep in town. It's a town of 3,500 people with all the amenities of a small town in Ontario. So really ideal conditions.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So coming back to this permitting thing, if I understand it right, so you have no really permitting issue to if a major coming and will take this project over.
It would be very quick to turn around. We think, as opposed to a project like Borden or other ones that are a little bit more remote, we think for this is within 18 months to 2 years, a company can start operating.
What must be happened that a major will come and take over the project?
Well, we have many, we've been talking to majors, right? We have lots of signed CAs with them. They're getting all of our data. I think right now is, again, just proving up what we have. So the feedback has been, continue on doing what it is that you're doing, which is what we're doing. We're drilling. We just completed a 20,000 meter drill program. We're going to go straight into another one. We're well cashed up. We have about $3 million in the bank right now in the coffers. We don't see money as being an issue. And again, as you asked me beforehand, our partner, which has a 40% interest, is really a wealthy individual. It's not a mining company. It's an individual who has an interest in seeing this project come to production. So for every dollar that we spend, not just on exploration, every dollar, it can be G&A as well, we get 40 cents back. So we're really in a great financial position to keep on doing what it is that we're doing, and all our results are pretty positive. So our modeling is very good. We've seen that, as I mentioned, there's this high zone of mineralization, high grade zone to the south of the existing resource. We call that the Minto Mine South Zone. The mineralization there is very similar to the Island Gold Mine, except that we intersect the mineralization close to surface. They intersect it at 1,200 meters. So at a kilometer depth, we're near surface. We're less than 200 meters to surface. So again, the economics are really interesting in terms of what we have and how easy it will be to actually mine it.
Okay, to summarize is that the project is old or have old mines there was 8 old mines that produce up to the in the 2030s 120,000 ounces with relatively high grade, 9 grams. You have already a resource calculation. You drill a lot. That was previous company drill over 40,000 meters. You re-acid a lot of things. Then you start with a major drill program around 20,000 meters. The results coming in also with some delays, some issues, not on the drill core, more issues on the lab that they are not have the capacity to bring this the results in the proper time. And you have also, or you talk with, and the major goal is not to bring it into production. It's easy to bring it in production. You have everything in place, infrastructure, First Nation is not an issue, permitting is not an issue. Everything is looking really great, but it's not the major goal of you that you bring this into production. And you talk still with some majors, and they say, do what you do, drilling, bring the results, bring the new resource calculation, and then we will see what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a good summarizer?
That's good. Yeah. So total, just to go back to what you said in terms of drilling, total so far, I think we've drilled about 32,000 meters.
Okay, 32,000. But the last program was 20,000, and it's running in the next campaign also 20,000. And cash is not a problem. You have 3 million in the bank, and you have a partner. They have 40% of the project, and he must coming up with his portion of the program. Yeah. Mia, I think it was a great first introduction to your company. So, and I hope I can summarize everything in Germany as well. Also die Company hat ein Projekt in der Gegend auch, wo McDonald's Mainz ist. Die Company hat damals entschieden, oder das Management-Team hat damals entschieden, sie wollen nicht eine Company haben mit 3 Projekten, sondern sie haben 3 Company mit jeweils einem Projekt. Das macht vieles leichter. Die Overhead-Kosten sind dieselben, nur aufgeteilt auf 3 Companies. Und es ist natürlich so, dass sie kein Projekt natürlich damit keinen Wert an der Börse erzielt, weil es halt einfach vergessen wird oder nicht registriert wird. Das heißt, sie können mehr eigentlich für den Aktionär rausholen. Was machen sie in diesem Projekt? Das ist ein Projekt, das in derselben Gegend ist wie McDonald's Mainz, hat 8 vormalig produzierende Minen, die in den 20er Jahren rund 120.000 Unzen produziert haben, mit einem durchschnittlichen Gehalt von 9 Gramm. In einem Projekt ist es so, dass der frühere Betreiber dieses Projekt über 40.000 Meter gebohrt hat dort eine schöne Ressource hingestellt. Sie haben einen Haufen dieser alten Bohrkerne weiter analysiert, sind draufgekommen, dass da sehr viele Teile nicht analysiert waren. Dadurch sind sie zu einem viel höheren Gehalt gekommen, vor allem höhere Goldgehalte, haben seit diesem Zeitraum 32.000 Meter gebohrt. Das letzte Programm war 20.000 Meter, da kommen jetzt die Bohrergebnisse langsam rein, leider auch wieder sehr langsam die Analysen. Allerdings ist es so, sie haben dieses Research Lab verwendet, weil das einfach sehr, sehr genau arbeitet und das ist in diesem Bereich halt einfach sehr wichtig. Sie gehen davon aus, dass wenn dieses Programm abgeschlossen ist, sie gleich mit dem nächsten Programm starten. Laut neuesten Studie gibt es 3 neue Explorationstages, die schon teilweise getestet worden sind, das wollen sie weiter ausbauen, damit dieses Projekt so groß wird, dass ein Major früher oder später das übernimmt. Ihr Ziel ist es nicht in Produktion zu gehen, sondern dass es klassische Explorationsmodell, dass sie übernommen werden. Sie sprechen schon mit Majors und die Majors sagen halt einfach, ja, macht es einfach weiter, wie sie jetzt das immer gemacht habt. Das heißt, kommt raus mit dem Ergebnis, macht das nächste Bohrprogramm und dann schauen wir weiter. Und wenn dann die neue Ressourcenstudie da ist, dann ist es vielleicht so weit, die Company zu übernehmen. Sie haben keine Permitting-Probleme, sie haben keine First Nation-Probleme und sie haben die Infrastruktur eigentlich in place und sie haben genug Geld, sie haben 3 Millionen am Konto. Also in Summe klingt das sehr, sehr spannend. Man muss auch dazu sagen, bei diesem Team, auch die MIA, hat eine Ausbildung, eine geologische Ausbildung. Jeder von denen ist entweder Geologe oder Geochemiker oder sonst irgendwas. Das heißt, die können alle einen wertvollen Beitrag zum Unternehmen leisten. Das Wort von Red Pine Exploration und wir sehen die Company sicher in ein paar Monaten wieder zu einem neuen Interview. Tschüss und Baba.